Hi everyone, and welcome to another video of the SAFI webinar series. In this video, we are going to have an overview of joints. Joints represent points of connection between structural members and plates. Element mass and distributed loading are automatically transferred to joint locations during the analysis. The user can create joints graphically or by the means of spreadsheets. Without further ado, let's start our demo. To add joints to the model, we use the command add joints. If we already have a grid, we can select the intersections of grid lines to add joints. We can add joints individually by clicking at each intersection, or we can draw a box and all the intersections of grid lines inside this box will create joints. To deactivate the add joints command, we use the escape key. If we want to delete a joint, we can use the selection command by clicking on the select by window command on the selection toolbar, or we can activate this command using the shortcut S. Then we select the joints and we use the delete button. We can delete joints one at a time using the delete joints command. It is also possible to add the joints if we know the coordinate using a graphical user interface. First, we activate the add joint command. Then, we do a right click and we select keyboard entry. Here, the user can specify the coordinates of the joints. Then, we can add it afterwards. We click OK. And we will have the joints that we created. We can continue adding other joints in the same manner using this dialog box. Another way to add joints is using numerical tables. We go to the Table menu. In the Table menu, we select Joints. In this numerical table, we can add or edit joints. If we want to add a new joint, we add a new row. We can use this button to insert a new row, or we can simply use the down arrow key on the keyboard. To add a new joint in a numerical table, we need to specify the joint ID. Let's specify joint ID number 2, and then we specify the coordinate. Let's add here 1 meter, and then we click OK to validate. The new joint will appear here. It is also possible to create a series of joints using the numerical table. For example, let's say we want to add a series of joints with a regular spacing. I can add as many empty rows as I did using the down arrow key. Then I select these rows, then I do a right click on the column joint ID because I want to increment the ID, so this joint to be number 3, 4, and so on. So I'm going to select the first one, then I do a right click, and then use the function here, increment field. The first initial value will be number 3, and increments will be 1. I click OK. The software will automatically fill the joint ID with respect to the increments that are specified. I can do the same thing with other columns. For example, if I want to create joints with a spacing of 1 meter between each, I can select this cell from the column coordinates X. Then I do a right click and I use this command, increment field again. This time I specify the initial value of 2 meters and my increment is 1 meter. I then click OK. Then all the cells in the column X of the selected row will be filled automatically. I click OK to validate. Now we can see on screen the joints that I created using the numerical tables. It is also possible to delete joints using tables. So if I go to the Tables menu, I select Joints. And in this table, If I want to delete a joint, let's say joint ID number 1 and number 2, I can select the rows, then I use the key delete option, or I simply click on this button, delete the selected row. Then I click yes, and then I click OK. These joints will now be deleted. When we select joints or any other elements in the model, graphically, it is possible to fetch the selection in a numerical table. In this case, I selected these 3 joints. If I open the numerical table of joints, I can fetch this selection by going to the menu selection, and I will select this option, Get Current Selection, Model to Table. So, now the 3 joints that are selected graphically, they are also selected in this table. If I want to do editing or a special operation on these 3 joints, I can isolate them by hiding the other joints in this table using this button, which is Hide Unselected Rows, like we see here. For example, if I want to edit the coordinate Z for this joint, I can simply select this row, and for example, I add a value in this cell, then I do a right click, and then select Repeat Field. All these cells will share the same value. I then click OK to validate. It is also possible to edit the coordinates and the attributes of an existing joint by double-clicking on the joint. So, if I double-click on the joint and open the Joint Attribute dialog box, the first tab allows the user to edit the coordinates of a specific joint. Let's change the coordinate Z to 2000, and I click OK. So, now it should be updated. We can also edit the attributes of joints using the selection command. If I activate the selection command, then I select these joints, I can edit the attributes of the selection using Joint Attributes command on the Addition toolbar. So, in this case, the user can edit different joint attributes, including supports, springs, displacements, and other specific parameters depending on the application. It is also possible to edit one joint at a time by using the command Edit Joint. The shortcut for this command is the letter J. So, if we click on this command, Edit Joint, the cursor shape changes to a hand and the closest joints to the mouse are displayed in an orange color. If we want to edit this joint, we simply click on it and the Joint Attribute dialog box will open. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and catch you in another one of our webinar series videos.